Hi, I'm Judy. Welcome to Go with Yin Yoga. Today we're going to be exploring melting heart in ways to maybe make it feel better in your body. I have a couple of blocks here and I have a bolster behind me. I could just use my pillows, but I want to show you, if you're on your mat, how to use blocks and a bolster. So melting heart, often also known as puppy pose in Hatha Yoga, can strengthen your shoulders, your upper back, your chest, and your heart. And the only contraindication for it really, maybe back problems, maybe knee problems, but definitely if you have some kind of neck issues, it may not be the pose for you. In that case, maybe, personally, I don't think any Yin Yoga pose really is an alternative. They just don't do the same thing. Maybe thread the needle a little bit, kind of, sort of. You'll see why later, probably. But Sphinx pose, also known as Cobra in Hatha Yoga, Seal pose, where you stretch up on your arms. I've got Bandit with me again. So Cobra, where you're on your forearms, right? So you're getting a little bend in your back. You're opening across your shoulders and your chest, but you're not really getting the arm strengthening properties of melting heart. Now, if you come into Seal, where you come up on your arm and your hands, then you're going to get some arm strengthening, absolutely. You're going to get more into your lower back than you are into your upper back, but you will also get that heart and chest opening. Nope. Bandit just sat down on my foot. So those are some alternatives. You know, it depends on what you're looking for. So it's always up to you what you want to target, where you feel it in a certain pose. Recline butterfly, you know, when your feet are like this and you are draped over a bolster. A little bit, kind of, sort of, once again. Today we're not doing a completely traditional Yin Yoga practice. We'll be doing melting heart, a lot of different variations, a lot of tips on how you might make it more comfortable in your body using props. We're not holding for long periods of time because we're going through so much of it, but we will do little counter poses because tension will build up. I am offering you a theme today, and that is to give thanks for the beauty around you. In November, we are exploring gratitude, and it's something we should do every day, but of course, we're busy. We get really busy. So sometimes a nice little nudge is a good thing. At least I hope it is. Okay, let's take a moment to arrive on our mats and transition from anything you were doing before you got down on your mat or your bed. And you could be lying down if you wish, or in an easy, comfortable seat, closing your eyes if it feels safe and comfortable to do so. Really feeling into those sit bones, maybe sitting up on a pillow or a block. In fact, I will grab my block right now and I'm going to go ahead and sit on it so you can see what I mean. Just raises those hips a little bit and can make seated postures a bit more comfortable for a lot of people. So feeling down into your sit bones, really feel them on that block if you're using it, or a bolster, or a rolled up blanket. And begin to feel the length all the way up your spine. And relax your shoulders. Let your forehead soften. And let your jaw relax. Maybe noticing when you have a nice long spine that breathing is just a little more comfortable. And breathing slowly and deeply in and out through your nose, if that's available to you. Feeling it start in your belly. Pressing up into that chest center. The ribs coming apart. And then slowly going down your throat. Back down through the chest and back down to the belly. Another couple of deep breaths here. And slowly blink your eyes. Maybe do a really quick little body scan and notice if there's any tension in a particular part of your body, and just make a note out of that without judging. And we're going to start with half melting heart pose. So I'm going to come off of the block, just set it aside, and get into melting heart. It's really simple. Just come into a tabletop position. And so that is one of the alternatives that I offered, was thread the needle, inhale up, and then you take one arm under the other arm and bring your head down as it's available, maybe bringing it onto a block. So different, but getting into some of the same areas. So we are in tabletop. Hips are over the knees, shoulders are over the wrists. Begin to walk your hands forward. I may need to back up just a little bit. Trying to keep those hips over your knees. Bending one elbow and taking your head on top of your hand of the bent arm. The other arm reaches forward. Now this is half melting heart, also known as quarter puppy in Hatha Yoga. And just take deep breaths here. And make a note of where you're feeling this in your body. Allowing your heart to melt down towards your mat or your bed. And slowly pressing into the palms. And coming up to second side. So bend the other arm. And take your head on top of your forearm or your hand, whatever feels comfortable. And maybe here, take a note, does this side feel different from the other side? Can you get deeper? Can you not get as deep? Does the sensation feel different for you? These are things that can change every single day. Last breath here. And then bend the other elbow. Begin to walk your forearms back towards your torso. Take your knees out wide. Sitting back on your heels. I'll move forward just a little bit so you can see me. And coming into a wide-legged child's pose. And this is just a short little break to counter any tensions that may have built up in our first posture. And the last breath here. And again, press into your palms, bringing yourself upright. Let me check and see what our next posture is. I'm going to invite you to grab a bolster or some rolled up blankets for our next posture. I've used this in a lot of videos in the last month or so and also in the past. I personally like it, but that doesn't mean that you will. And you may love something that I don't. You're going to come back up onto your knees and then come down onto your elbows, bringing your head onto the bolster as well. Letting that heart yearn down as much as it can. This may, right here, this may feel a little better in your body because you're using the bolster basically to bring what would be the mat, in my case the bed, a little closer to your body, and you don't have to bend so deeply in the posture. But the variation I'm offering is taking your hands, bending the elbows back. The hands are pointing to the back of the room or the end of your mat. In prayer hands. I really like this pose, but like I said, you may not. See if you can relax the muscles in your body. Allow that chest and heart to open up a little more. Last breath here. And then straighten the arms out, move them back towards your body, and slowly take yourself back to that wide knees child pose again. I'm going to move the bolster off to the side. You may or may not want to keep it close to you. Let's take a little break in wide knees child pose. And let's press here. Go ahead and press into your hands. We're going to come into the full expression of melting heart. Now, there are a lot of things you can do to make it feel more comfortable for you if it's not a pose that you enjoy. I do not expect you to remember all of these variations. Obviously, I don't remember them all the time. So, to get into the full expression of melting heart, you are in your tabletop. And you're just walking your hands forward. And maybe bringing your forehead down to your mat or your bed. Now, this may feel too intense for you in the get-go. One of the things you can do is simply bend your elbows. Bend your elbows and then take your head down towards your mat. And notice the difference. How does that feel for you? Where do you feel sensation in your body? Now, another thing you can do, if you're in this particular variation where your elbows are bent and the forearms are on the mat, and that feels a little icky in your body, you can take a rolled up blanket. Look, you have a blanket right here. Let's pretend it's a rolled up blanket. And you can place it under those elbows. You can do the same thing placing a blanket under the knees if that's an issue for you. That is another way to make this feel more natural in your body. Now, if you're in the full expression, and if you are by this point, you might want to take a break, but if you're in the full expression and you're feeling something in your shoulders, you might want to try taking your arms further apart and see how that feels. Now, another thing you can do, if getting your head down to the mat just seems like too much, you can go ahead and take a block or a bolster or some rolled up blankets. And you can, again, reach those arms forward and allow the head to come onto the block. And again, here, maybe you need to take your arms out a little bit further. Play around with it. Play around with it every time you practice it. Another option is to get 2 blocks. And instead of a bolster under your elbows, you can take your elbows onto the blocks. I like to bend my elbows a little bit, making a little diamond shape with the arms. And then you can take the head down towards your mat. And if that's too uncomfortable, if you have a 3rd block, this needs to be a little closer to my body, like that. If you have a 3rd block, you might want that under your head. Another option, if you have that bolster, put my blocks back over here. You can use that under, now this is, to my mind, I don't do this too often. Because to my mind, this becomes almost child's pose, but it doesn't have to be. And I actually really do like child's pose on a bolster. So in this variation, you still have the hips over the knees, and you're reaching your arms forward. But in this variation, you're putting the bolster vertically under your torso, and you're supporting your chest. And for some people, this can make a big difference. And go ahead and press into the palms. I think I've covered most of what I wanted to cover. Oh, no, I missed one thing. Yes, I missed one thing. Okay, I'm going to put that bolster. Another simple variation you can try, even before you come in. I got to move forward again. Okay, tuck your toes. Just tuck your toes. So the hips will still be over your knees. You'll still be reaching forward, but try it with tucked toes. Especially if you're having some ankle issues, that could feel very nice. Also a really nice stretch across the soles of your feet, and they need that. They need that. One other variation, it's a bit difficult for me to show you in here, and I have some videos where I have done this. Look at my playlist of wall Yin Yoga. I have quite a few practices that are wall Yin Yoga, and I have used melting heart at the wall a few times. But basically, you come into kneeling, and you walk your hands up the wall. There you go. You can see what I'm doing. And you allow the chest heart area, again, to sink down. Now, obviously, you're not coming down to a mat if you're doing this. So it's a slightly different sensation, but it can feel very nice. Okay. Let's take a little break in wide-kneed child's pose, because you've probably been holding and moving and I'm doing a lot of melting heart by this point. Nice deep breaths here. And then bring your palms to your mat. And allow yourself to come over onto your back for a short little Savasana. Yes, this isn't a typical Yin Yoga practice or yoga practice for that fact. But I do a lot of these pose, breakdowns, variations, how you can use props. Props are so important. I was very surprised. So relax into your version of Shavasana, maybe on your back, legs apart, arms a bit away from your body. I was really surprised as you begin to drift into Shavasana to read in a Facebook group about how many people really didn't like melting heart. I actually happen to like it, but everybody is different. I say this a lot because it's really true. Our bodies are different day to day. How we slept, how we ate, how we hydrated, what our emotions we are going through, what kind of stress we are going through. All of these things can change what we can do every single day, and that's okay. So always bring your beginner's mind to your practice. The meridians that this melting heart goes through, there are several, and it depends where you feel it in your body. So if you're feeling it up and down your spine, that is probably bladder meridian. And bladder meridian is associated with the water element. That is associated with winter. It's associated with grief, sometimes depression and anxiety. If you're feeling it more in this area, in your chest area, that might be stomach and spleen. Stomach and spleen is associated with your earth element. It's very, very grounding. It is associated with worry and anxiety when out of balance. All of these negative emotions are what are associated with those particular elements when it's out of balance. And if you're feeling it in your arms, then you're getting into your heart and your lung. And we are presently in the Northern Hemisphere in our metal element season, which is associated with the lung and large intestine. And it is associated with grief, out of balance, not letting go of things. So fall is actually a great time to declutter so that we can make space for the spring, which is the wood element. Anyway, I use this a lot in my lung and large intestine practices. Like I said, I happen to enjoy melting heart. I'm not saying it's not challenging, but I like it. And I like the space it creates. Any kind of things when we're letting go, it creates space for something new to come in. So go ahead and close your eyes again if that's comfortable for you. And bring your attention back to any intention you may have set at the beginning of this practice. Know that you have strengthened your shoulders, your chest, and your upper back, and your heart area. Maybe bring to mind what you are grateful for around you in your space where you are practicing. That is beautiful. That makes you smile. And as always, an invitation to stay in Shavasana for as long as you feel you need to. If you are moving into the rest of your day, begin to notice that space around you, maybe with your eyes still closed. Notice how the air feels around you. Notice any sounds you may be hearing, near or far. Any smells that may be seeping into your space. And then allow your breath to deepen. Feeling safe and supported by the earth. And begin to take any small movements you need to come back into your space right now. And in your own way and in your own time, find yourself upright in an easy seated position. Inhale, bring the palms of the hands together in front of your heart, slightly bowing your head. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be free from pain and suffering. And may you notice the beauty around you and wherever you may be. Slowly blink your eyes open. Allow your hands to fall into your lap. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this explanation and demonstration of ways to make melting heart perhaps more comfortable for your body. If you did, please go ahead and click the like button if you found it useful. If you'd like to practice with me again, go ahead and click subscribe and the bell. If you want to see breakdowns for more Yin Yoga practices, I have a whole playlist. I think we're up to a few of the postures are actually more Yang postures, but I have at least 12. I think there's more than that. There's like 17, now 18 on that playlist. So there's a lot to explore. I've done a lot of these where it's not a real practice, but you're getting to know a pose. And my suggestion when you try these is try them more than once. Go through it again. Find a new variation that speaks to you. Pick a different one. Pick one you like one week, maybe a different one the next week. See what one feels right for your body. And I did misspeak earlier. Grief is associated with the lung element. The water element is associated with fear. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you can get more comfortable in melting heart.